Hello, I'm Julie, educator with Larimer County Department of Natural Resources, and this is my lunch. As humans, we eat a variety of foods. We eat foods that come from plants, like the carrots and apples and chips on my plate, and we eat food that comes from animals, like the turkey and cheese in my sandwich. We all eat. But have you ever stopped to wonder why we eat? We don't just eat because the food is delicious, or we're bored, or we're tired, or just hungry. We eat because we gain energy from food, energy that we need to live our everyday lives, to think and to play and to learn, energy that we need to survive. That rumbling in your stomach? That's your energy tank telling you it's running low. Time to get some food. All living things need energy, plants and animals. They all eat in order to survive. Now you're probably thinking, wait a minute, how do plants eat? They don't have a mouth. Well, let's take a look at the process by which plants gain energy.
Plants make their own food. They do this through a process called photosynthesis. Plants take energy from the sun, nutrients and water from the soil, and carbon dioxide from the air and turn it into food. They combine these elements into sugars that they use to grow and create leaves and flowers. Since plants create their own energy, scientists label them as producers because they produce their own energy through photosynthesis. What about people? Can humans produce their own energy?
It doesn't matter how long I stand out here in the sunshine. Eventually, I'm going to get hungry. As humans, we can't produce our own energy. We don't have roots that go into the ground or leaves that can take in the sunlight and store energy through photosynthesis. We need to eat food, such as plants and animals, in order to produce energy. How does that energy pass from plant to animal? Well, I have an apple in my pocket here. We're going to imagine it's a beautiful summer day in an apple orchard, and this apple is in the tree still growing. Now that tree's leaves is storing the sun's energy, and through the process of photosynthesis, putting it into this apple. It stores the energy in this apple. Now when I eat the apple, my body takes that stored energy, breaks it down, and then uses it in my cells to help. There is a way that we can see that flow of energy through living things in an ecosystem, and it's called a food chain. Gosh, I could really go for some pizza right now.
Scientists use a model called a food chain to show how energy flows between living things. Let's create a food chain using some of the plants and animals found right here on the Front Range. Welcome to Devil's Backbone Open Space. As you can see, there is an abundance of plants going through photosynthesis, producing energy to grow. A field mouse wanders in and starts eating the grasses and grass seeds. This mouse is called a consumer. It consumes the grass for food, and the grass passes its energy to the mouse. This is a food chain. The energy is passed from plant to mouse. In our ecosystem, our mouse is being hunted by a bull snake. Now the mouse may have enough energy from the grass it ate to escape its predator, leaving the poor snake hungry. However, if our patient snake is successful, it will have a yummy mouse dinner and gains energy from eating the mouse. The mouse passes its energy along to the snake. The snake is a consumer. Now remember, our mouse was also a consumer. The mouse is a primary consumer. The snake who eats the mouse is a secondary consumer. Our now satisfied snake has added another link to our food chain. Can we make it longer? What might eat a snake? There are animals who think our snake makes a tasty meal. Red-tailed hawk scoops up our snake for dinner. What would we call this hawk who is gaining energy by eating the snake? The red-tailed hawk is also a consumer. Specifically, we call it a tertiary consumer. Now, there aren't many animals who will eat our hawk. Those talons are not worth messing with. So the hawk is the final link in this specific food chain. However, nature takes one final step to link everything back together. When a plant or animal dies, the organic material is broken down by bacteria and fungus, or better known as decomposers. This broken down material is converted as nutrients back into the soil, taking us back to our producers, plants. Let's look at our food chain again. The sun gives its energy to the plant, who produces their own energy. The plant is eaten by the mouse, who is the primary consumer of that energy. The mouse is eaten by the snake, who is a secondary consumer of the energy. The snake is eaten by the hawk, which is a tertiary consumer of the energy. Then the decomposers bring the nutrients back to the soil. This is a food chain. A food chain is a model that shows how energy flows between living things in an ecosystem.
Of course, nature is never that simple. An ecosystem has many different plants and animals. And animals don't eat just one thing. They have a variety to their diet. Let's take our hawk, for example. It's not just going to eat snakes. It might eat mice, it might eat rabbits, it might eat smaller birds. Or maybe our mouse. It may not just eat grass. It might eat plants with flowers or plants with berries. And sometimes different animals eat the same thing. Maybe we have deer in our ecosystem that also eat grass. But that deer is going to be eaten by a mountain lion. Or maybe our smaller songbirds also eat plants with berries, but they're also going to eat insects. As you can see, one ecosystem can have many different food chains, and how those food chains connect to each other is what we call a food web.
A food web describes the interconnecting food chains within an ecosystem. It can provide us with a clear picture of how plants and animals in an ecosystem rely on one another. Plants and animals depend on each other for more than just food. Animals rely on plants for shelter or protection from rain or sunlight. Plants rely on animals to help pollinate, disperse seeds, or control insect populations. Plants and animals are connected in an ecosystem and rely on one another. What would happen if you removed one of the plants or animals from an ecosystem? Our friends at Project Learning Tree have a great activity that demonstrates how plants and animals are connected in an ecosystem. It's called Web of Life. Use it to help you research the answer to this question.
So as you can see, all living things need energy to survive. Some make their own energy, like plants. Some animals get energy from eating plants, and some animals get energy from eating other animals. This is what we call a food chain. Next time you're having lunch, think about the food chains that are involved in the food on your plate.